And we're in. Whew. You ready to start?
Hell yeah, let's go.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Kino with Khan, the podcast nobody's asking for, but I keep churning them out. It's a film comedy podcast, and I'm here today with the illustrious comedian, founder of Comedy HK, my man, Garron Chiu.
What's up? A managing partner. I'm not founder.
Oh, you know?
No.
Oh, get out of here.
We're close. Yeah.
And then Garron, I assume you've listened to a bunch of the old episodes of this podcast and things like that. Like,
I have never heard of this podcast until like a week ago.
Fan of the show, first time caller. It's a podcast about film. We just chat about it.
Cool.
You pick a film, I watch it.
Great.
And then for your film, you chose what is like a classic comedy film, but 1998 BASEketball.
1998's BASEketball with the illustrious creators of South Park.
Directed by Mr. Zucker, Dan Zucker.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I also don't have my other phone for notes, but I'm getting up here. Who also did like Airplane, the Naked Gun films.
They don't make movies like this anymore, man.
Maybe for a reason.
No, they don't. Look, gag movies are a lost art. They're, I mean, like from a pure comedy writing perspective, like, are there things that don't age well? Sure, but it's like, as I was rewatching it, I was envisioning this movie as a script, and there is a punchline every 5 to 10 seconds. It's like jokes nonstop. I think, obviously, the peak. I mean, some people talk about Airplane, Naked Gun. The peak version of this was probably like the Austin Powers movies.
Oh, really? You think that's a peak gag movie?
The peak gag movie, yeah. I mean, you have like the National Lampoon stuff, but I think peak gag movie was probably Austin Powers. This one is a personal favorite of mine. I think it's a very specific age too. It's like the people who grow up with South Park, like from the first few seasons, and you're like, oh, those are the South Park guys. And also for people who love sports, like, people like I mean, we'll talk about this later, but the cultural cachet of this movie is very interesting.
You're about to crack on, but before you do, you have to give like a 1 to 2 minute synopsis of the film for anyone who hasn't seen it.
1 to 2 minute synopsis. Okay, so two best friends, Doug Reamer and Joe Cooper, are burnouts. They're in their mid-20s, they're kind of losers, and they realize everyone in high school, their lives have passed them by because they're all cool now. They got jobs, they got khakis, they got girls. That's the most important
That was a lot.
Yeah, they got jobs in that order. First you get the jobs, then you get the khakis, then you get the girls. So they decide to get jobs, but instead of getting jobs, they invent a backyard game called BASEketball, which combines basketball and baseball. It's kind of like horse, but played around a baseball diamond. Eventually, this sport goes viral. To the point where a billionaire invests in them to create a BASEketball league. Now, the point of the movie is they grew up in an era where sports stars are getting traded, it's all about money, teams are moving cities, and they wanted to make sure BASEketball was pure about the sports, and everyone gets paid equally, and they get to live, as they say, like indentured servants, which is another great joke. At the end of one of the early seasons, the owner of the team dies, and the team is given to Joe Cooper. He gets to keep the team as long as they win by the end of the season. There's an evil rival billionaire trying to turn BASEketball into a league like everything else, like a money-grabbing league. And he starts dating the owner's ex-gold digger wife because she gets the team if they do not win. And then hijinks ensue. There's a kid with cancer. There's Yasmin Bleeth looking the hottest she's looked since Baywatch. Victoria Silverstead, Playmate of the Year, shows up.
As you say so many times.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is owned and in a museum. A lot of hijinks ensue.
Yeah, and then they end up winning the league.
They end up winning the league and saving. They end up winning the season and saving the league.
So that's what the film is, and it is a cult classic. I remember when it came out; it was on TV a lot here.
Yes.
No, it came out. I would have been too young. I was like, when I was like at 9 or 8, it was on TV a lot.
Yeah.
And I like watched bits and pieces.
But they play like the censored version on Star TV. It was kind of annoying.
Star TV, yes, that's the one. I actually didn't remember that. We're in Hong Kong for people who don't know right now. We're out on.
I specifically remember. So one of the things about the sport is you get psych outs. So you get to distract someone. And one of the psych outs includes a guy cutting off his own finger. And I specifically remember that scene was cut out in the Star TV censored version of the film. Very low.
I'm sure a lot of other stuff's cut out.
Yes,
the Star TV version.
Which is weird because it's only like an hour and a half movie, so the cutout version must be short
Yeah.
as hell.
So the interesting thing is, okay, the film I always thought was written by Matt Stone. And
Matt
Trey
Stone and Trey
Parker.
Parker. It's not. It's one of the few films they did not write.
They didn't write it, and there was actually, so funny enough, apparently they had just finished like South Park first season, I think, and they
One of
thought-
the seasons,
yeah,
yeah.
and they thought they were going to get cancelled.
Yeah.
So they signed on for this film, and then they had to. They didn't get cancelled, and they
Yeah.
still haven't been, and they had to do the film while they were writing and producing South Park, which they are infamously really disorganized at doing.
Yep.
So they do the episodes like a week before, which is why they can stay so like prevalent all the
Yep.
time, or so relevant. Sorry. But-
It's all in a documentary called 6 Days Till Air. Great documentary about comedy writing.
they do that really well. But so these guys signed on for the film. It's supposed to be Chris Farley.
Oh, that
as,
makes sense.
As Cooper's character, which I thought was Cooperson, whatever his name
That
is.
makes sense.
And yeah, that's good.
Because Trey Parker really does a Farley haircut in the film.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, and they add this sort of like they came in and did some rewrites. They added in the bitch character.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But
Who's great, who was also in their first film, Orgasmo.
I've never actually.
Have you never seen Orgasmo?
I've only seen South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut.
So
from
their
them.
first film, have you never seen Team America?
Oh no, sorry, Team America. Yeah. I've seen
So their
Team
first film, Orgasmo, is a comedy about the porn industry, but one of them is actually a superhero who shoots a gun that gives people orgasms. Great film.
Fantastic.
Great film.
they keep the bar high constantly.
Oh yeah. And they've got another comedy coming up starring Kendrick Lamar. So that's gonna be fun.
Hey, so this is my like gripe with the film. I did find it fun. So my thing with comedy films is if I laugh once,
Yeah.
it's such a low bar. If I laugh once,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Great.
Like okay, yeah, like whatever. You did your job. There's one. I'll say this with like a pinch of salt. That Melissa McCarthy has a lot of funny films.
Yes.
But she has one where she plays someone who is rich and then loses all her money and has to move in with someone else. I forgot what it's called. But it's one of the worst films I've ever seen, and I never laughed at it. So this film, I'm not going to say it's like a bad comedy because it did make me laugh a lot of times. My gripe with it has nothing to do with the film itself. I think it came out in a rough time. That
Yeah.
it was half that like period of like Naked Gun stuff like that, Airplane, Caddyshack, and then it was half leading into this period of scary movies. And parodies and things. So
Well, I mean, like, because
it was lost in between.
So post like Austin Powers and BASEketball, you still had somewhat of a plot, and then when it got to Scary Movie, it was basically like, let's make 90 minutes worth of sketches.
Yeah.
And the first Scary Movie, I mean, I have never rewatched it. I doubt it holds up because it's very of its time. But those movies burned out really quick when they did like, action movie, epic movie, not another teen movie.
Not another teen movie is fantastic.
I have not rewatched those.
That's a fantastic. I think
In fact, a lot of those movies, I can rewatch BASEketball all the time because it's actually weirdly premonitions. It actually predicted, like the reason why for sports fans they like BASEketball so much is it predicted so many things that happened in sports, even though they were using it as gags.
Okay, when you were texting me about, when I asked you film choice, you said BASEketball, and you were like, it predicts like sports stuff.
Yeah.
What do you?
So there's an opening montage in BASEketball talking about why people lost their love of sports, why sports lost its purity. And I had a lot of jokes like, the Minnesota Lakers moved to LA where there are no lakes.
Yeah.
The New Orleans Jazz moved to Utah where they don't allow music. Like great jokes like that. And it talked about how like free agency made it so that players aren't loyal to sports, so that fans are no longer loyal to teams. And this was in the 90s where player movement didn't happen that often. And if you look at the last like 10 years, I'd say starting from 2010 when LeBron did the decision, and then suddenly like in the NBA, last 5-6 years, every year like big stars are changing teams.
Yeah.
Happens in baseball, happens in NFL. The irony, they had a joke in it. The Raiders moved from Oakland to Los Angeles, back to Oakland, nobody even noticed. And then 2 years ago, the Raiders then moved again to Las Vegas. It also, this was like at the tail end of Jordan's career, but it also predicted like, endorsements are going to outpace sports salaries, so that athletes are going to care about their endorsements more than they care about their actual team, and then that's something that built up.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of in jokes that they make. So one of the jokes they have is about how complicated the playoff system is, because they keep at the time, I think it was like college football and college basketball. They were adding more teams to their playoffs.
Yeah.
So they made a joke about like, oh, now there's
right
like
now in the NBA as
80
well.
teams. So the NBA added a play-in. They're adding 2 more teams in each division. So there's a lot of things they made that were clearly joking to make extremes about sports, which almost all turned out to be true. Yeah.
I mean, I think I agreed with, so that part, there was this moral message of the movie, which is about like sports as a pure thing. But then I think it gets lost a little bit. So like on this sort of like business side of it, I agree with the team thing.
Yeah.
But maybe because I grew up with the decision and things like that, I'm of the belief that players should have that agency.
Oh, sure,
to
sure,
leave
sure,
and do
sure,
whatever
sure.
they want.
No, but even, I mean, like,
because you're making money off me. Like, I'll go play what the fuck I want. Giannis should leave the Bucks.
The funny part is they even joke about how the purity of sport is bullshit, right?
Yeah.
They have the jokes like, yeah, all players should get paid the same like they used to be, like indentured servants. Or like the fact, this is the running joke of like, oh, you think Shaq made his money in Orlando or in LA? He's like, no, he made his money in college, because at the time, like, they didn't talk about it now it's more open. Like, players were getting bribed to go to certain schools, and now they have the NIL in college to actually pay college players.
They had like a lot of like little gags this, or like, you know, they're like when the evil billionaire is trying to convince Matt Stone to like come over to his side. He's like, yeah, do you think like a star like you should be living in a 3-bedroom shithole? He's like, yeah, wait a minute. Like that part is like, yeah, it's true. Like they shouldn't have to live like that if these guys are making money off of them. So I agree with that sort of part. But then this purity of sports thing came down to a lot of it. So the game, I don't know if you, the guy, what's his name? Dan Zucker. Yeah. Dan Zucker, I don't get that wrong. He actually came up with this game with his friends when he was like in cul-de-sacs.
I did not know that.
And he wanted to make it as a TV series, and then he switched it to a movie.
It's interesting because there are a lot of these weird backyard games that are becoming popular and then going on TV. Like I know it's a much different movie, but I see a movie like Dodgeball as the spiritual successor to like, and obviously that was much more narrative. It's a lot less gag based. But even then, there was like ESPN Ocho, which now ESPN Ocho exists, and they call it ESPN Ocho instead of ESPN 8 in reference to Dodgeball. So I'm like, not only are they predicting it, people are making things based on these films.
Yeah. So it was a real game that he like played, and he wanted to make a TV show about it, and then stuff like that. And then his whole thing was like, oh, it's the regular guy can play. And they mentioned this a lot in the film, like, you know what, this is like regular
just
people
like in Dodgeball.
Yeah, but I was like, that's not what I want from fucking sports.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it is a.
Yeah, if I wanted a regular guy, I'd go down to fucking Southern Playground and watch them hoop, you know, watch the Filipino guys hoop there. I want to see the best of the best. And the game is, you can tell it's made by like some white kid in a suburb.
Oh, of course.
Because it is made because it's a real game. So let's talk not about the film. The game is made up by these kids.
And the irony is they presented it as like, no, this is the game we picked up in the hood.
Yeah. That's a great scene, actually.
Yeah.
But then they...
Which, now that I think about it, not a lot of black people in this film.
No, yeah, I actually just had that thought as well. There's...
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all the other athletes might be the only black people in this film.
The Kareem thing, okay, let's focus on the sports thing. I want to come up because it leads to that. Because like, it is a sport game that they really made up, and then they tried to make a TV show out of Dan Zucker. And then it is made for unathletic whites.
Yes.
And we had this conversation a little bit over text, and I wanted to stop it so we could talk about it now. Which players would be, because it is like the basic format of the game is spot up shooting.
Yeah.
And getting tap-ins.
Yeah, but psych outs.
Psych outs.
That's
as well.
important. You have to have the trash talk.
So I was thinking, who from the NBA, if the BASEketball league was out today, who are you drafting?
So
I'll give you 4 draft picks.
4 draft. Are we talking current or history?
All time.
All time. I thought about this on the way here. Larry Bird would be number 1. Larry Bird would be number 1 because not only is he one of the greatest shooters of all time, mean trash talk.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard Larry Bird trash talk stories. I'm forgetting which player it was. Larry Bird's just like, hey, I heard it was your birthday today. He's like, yeah, it's my birthday. And then later just like pull up 3 in his face, like, happy fucking birthday. Or like at the 3-point shooting contest. First of all, Larry Bird won it once in his tracksuit, which is crazy. And I think it was the first time or the second time he won. He went into the locker rooms being like, all right, who's fighting for second place today? And he goes out and wins it. So Larry Bird would be number 1.
And he'll get the boards as well.
Larry Bird number 1, he'll get the boards. 2, not going with white player.
Shocking.
Anthony Edwards.
Okay, because he can shoot.
He can
get the
shoot,
boards, and
gets the trash talk. I think the other thing about BASEketball is obviously because it's average Joes, you get to live a way crazier lifestyle. And Anthony Edwards definitely lives a craziest lifestyle. Like he'd probably use send the video as like as a psych out. Crazy trash talk. Also not a white player, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's meant to have mean trash talk. I don't know if you saw, like, as we're recording this today, a video leaked of a fan trash talking Kevin Durant because he was injured for the first game of the playoffs. Yeah. And Kevin Durant just stands up, turns to him and says, "Get a grown man's dick out of your mouth," and then sits back down. So, and also he's like, Kevin Durant's known for having burner accounts and like secret chat groups where he's trash talking his own teammates. Yeah. So I think he'd be great at that. Last one. Now I got to think. 4 draft picks. It's got to be a shooter. I think I got to go white guy for this one. Gotta go. You know what? I'm going with my man, hard and fast PP, Peyton Pritchard.
Peyton Pritchard.
He's just a gamer.
He's
a small guy boxing out. I think it's whereas the other guys trash talk.
Yeah.
Peyton Pritchard seems like a guy who's unfazed by trash talk.
Yeah.
He's like. He was the smallest guy playing against big dudes and had to fight his way into the NBA.
That's a good point as well. Some of these guys will get phased by the trash.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. Like there are guys like someone like a Dylan Brooks or Isaiah Stewart,
someone
like Beef Stew.
You want them on your team, but they're not going to be taking.
Yeah, but like anyone who loses their temperature, loses their temper easily. Like Cat's a great shooter. Cat would be terrible in this. Like you'd say one mean thing and he'd like. Yeah.
Zesty cat.
Yeah, zesty cat.
I was thinking Peja Stojakovic.
Peja Stojakovic would be great.
Big, shoots.
Great. Might not understand enough English for the trash talk to affect him. Which is pretty important.
Also, I don't know if you've seen, it was on a podcast, they asked someone who are the mustiest NBA players. And they were like, I forgot what they asked. I think it might have been like, Tristan Thompson or something, and he was like, "Oh, it's these fucking Eastern Europeans, bro. They're on the court."
I mean, there was like,
you want a musty player out there scaring everyone away a little bit.
Initially, I thought like Yao Ming would be great for defense.
Yeah,
and Yao Ming. Well, I mean, like doing the tap-ins and stuff.
Okay.
Secretly, a great trash talker.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like. There's a story from a ref, like. Yao started really trash talking his 3rd, 4th year into the league, and he'd even like curse at the refs. And one of the refs turned to Yao and said, "I liked you better when you didn't know English." So yeah, I mean the psych outs for me is probably there's like the lasting legacy of what they predicted in sports, but the psych outs were the best part because like when I was in college. Anyone playing beer pong or at a beer pong tournament, you hear people saying like, "I heard your mom slept with Squeak." Yeah. Or like they do the
like for basketball.
They do or like Steve Perry. Okay. Like people would start quoting lines from basketball to psych people out during beer pong games, and that's when I realized like because when I was growing up in Hong Kong, it's like me, my friend Craig, and like one other dude who watched basketball.
Yeah.
And then when I went to the U.S. for college, I'm like, oh, everyone here's seen this movie.
Okay, so maybe there's a nostalgia aspect for you because it came out at the right time for you. What would you have been like? Like when did you watch it?
I was 10 when it came out, but when I first watched it, I was probably like 11 or 12.
Yeah, that's when it would maybe like really.
And also it was like it was the year when you'd like steal like FHMs and like those magazines. So like I knew who Victoria Silverstedt was, and then also because in Hong Kong. They'd play Baywatch nonstop, so I'd be like, "Oh my God, it's Yasmin Pleath from Baywatch," and like, "It's Victoria Silverstedt, Playmate of the Year."
I think that's like a key aspect of this film because like it came out of this like.
Oh, and
when
also
it comes out when you first watch it.
It was also like this was 2 years into South Park, and then you're like, it's the South Park guys.
Yeah.
And right at the end, like the biggest psych out. It's like, oh, you got to call a guy fat. It's like, oh, that doesn't work. It's like, no, but you got to do it like real weird and subtle. And he does the Cartman voice. Yeah. We're like, oh, it's Cartman in a movie.
A part of me, I was like, do another voice. Yeah, man. I did like as well. There's a few nods to that, like, oh, what? They're Hollywood now. They're
I mean, there's a lot of in jokes, like the amount of jokes, the amount of sight gags, even the amount of like throwaway lines.
Yeah. Like
they'll have things like, oh. We need all the owners to sign up for this thing. It's like, if you want unanimous consent, you're going to have to get it from someone else. It's like small, stupid lines like that.
There's a lot of that, but I felt like there was a contrast the whole time. So the South Park guys, especially then, even now, are quite ahead of the curve. And they were like championing in this new like era of comedy. Really.
Yeah.
And then Zucker and stuff like that are like this old era of like gaggy, very heavy like wordplay and like visual gags and things like that. And it felt like they were combining the two.
Oh, sure. Like,
And-
rewatching that movie, I could tell which jokes were written by Matt Stone and Trey Parker, which jokes were... Like, there's one specific line that Matt Stone and Trey Parker wrote. Because there's a scene where there's helping this, like, Make-A-Wish kid who all he wants to do is, like, they're like, what's your one wish? And he's like, oh, I want to, like, set a school on fire or, like, throw endangered animals into... And, like, that's, like, a Zucker joke.
Yeah.
And then he goes, like, no, think about what you really want. And he goes, Chelsea Clinton. And they say, I think you got a better chance with Bill. And that's clearly a Matt Stone and Trey Parker line. This is, like, 1998, and they're doing, like, Bill Clinton potentially pedo vibe jokes.
Yeah, I've never seen a film with, like, where you can so clearly see that there were two heads sort of, like, going into this film.
It's almost even like the types of slapstick stuff they do. You can tell which slapstick thing was written by Zucker, which was written by Matt Stone.
And even, like, I don't know, like, so I remember, one thing I remembered about this film, so I hadn't seen it for years before I put it on today, and one thing I did remember from the Star Wars things was the girls dancing.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that a lot. Like,
by the way,
the cheerleaders.
Cheerleaders getting sluttier and sluttier and sluttier and putting that in sports. Very early call by that. Very early call.
They should have done some Dallas Cowboys gags, and stuff. But they, like, that stuff is so prevalent in like those old Zucker and Naked Gun films. But as you move forward, so like the films that would have come after this, in my opinion, are like followed up with the scary movies. That leads to like Superbad and things like that.
And then the Apatow style narrative comedies.
Yeah, and those have less of these like, look at this hot chick stuff going on, right? But then American Pie came out, what, 1999?
I think it's the, like, from Apatow on, it's like we're making this as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas here, like, you are clearly, you're watching a 90-minute episode of SNL.
Yeah. They well, realistic Apatow. I don't know if you see. I've done this bit a few times, but it's. I was arguing with my girlfriend about whether not arguing, but she's like, "Oh, it's romance for women," and I was like, "What's romance for men?" And then we came to the conclusion that it's Judd Apatow.
It is Judd Apatow. It is Judd Apatow.
Where it's like, "Oh, I'm a fat stoner, but I'm not funny."
Yeah, but like
Mila Kunis loves me.
The thing though is like, Apatow rarely gets the romance right, but he always gets the bromance right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So that was something that was new to this film.
Yeah.
So if we're treating it as this transition period between like Naked Gun to Scary Movie Apatow, things like that, American Pie, those films lack that like sort of bromance, like the whole gag of like Seth Rogen films having, back in the day used to have like James Franco, Seth Rogen are friends, then they're not friends, and they become friends again.
And it's actually funny because almost all those films, like the friends fall apart, but they end up getting together. And here they did it in like, first of all, they tease it throughout the whole movie because like they get in a fight. It's like, want to get a beer? Yeah, let's get a beer. And then in the end, they have the fight over money and a girl, but they end up like being friends again under this super racist Hawaiian friendship tree or whatever. And they end up making up, which is perfect.
Yeah, but I think I was trying to think of a comedy that incorporated the bromance, that like story arc before. I think it might have been the first one to do it.
It's definitely pretty early on. I think like you'd have it in TV shows, but you wouldn't have it in like film comedies.
And then it became like an absolute trope of these films. Like,
yeah, because like I think.
So in that way, like it was the first one to do it.
First, and also, so throughout the film, there are two announcers who are in real life Al Michaels and Bob Costas, and they're playing just super horny versions of themselves. Yeah. And these guys are like actual serious commentators. Bob Costas has done like every Olympics since this movie came out. Al Michaels, Miracle on Ice, he does the Super Bowl every year, and it's just funny to like watch them just be like horny old dudes.
Well, you know something interesting about that?
Sure.
So.
And also, I don't know if you know this, in real life they hate each other.
Oh, this will lead into
okay,
that.
yeah.
Well, I don't know they actually still hate each other, but apparently Al Michaels, who's a bit more senior to Bob Costas at the time as well, was like, I'd love to be in a Zucker film. Took it for $15K. And then when they started filming, said, oh, excuse me, can I get another Stella, please? I leave these parts in. It's part of like the character. It's like, it makes it feel like a real conversation to me. But, and then they'd already started principal filming, and then he's like, oh yeah, I mean, like, it's just a fun thing. I'm doing it for $15K. And Bob Costas is like, I'm doing it for $50. And then Al Michaels stopped filming, until he got his raise. They had to like renegotiate him, get him to 60K just so he was getting more than him.
You know what's,
and then they started filming.
You know what's
again.
super interesting? If you read any book by Bob Costas or Al Michaels, or read any of their interviews, or watch they do some podcast interviews with like Bill Simmons a lot. Al Michaels used to be on a lot. I always I get that athletes are super competitive. Those two guys are crazy competitive.
Well, just with each other or everyone?
No, just with sports. Like, I didn't realize sportscasters were also competitive.
Yeah.
Like, who got the better games, who had the better call, whose like voice they use on replays the most. Like, I think because like Bob Costas was trying to be that guy, whereas like when Bob Costas won the come up, Al Michaels was already known for one of the most famous calls in all of sports, like the "Do you believe in miracles?" when the USA team beat Russia in hockey.
Well, personally for me, I don't know Al Michaels. I know Bob Costas.
Al Michaels does. That's because Bob Costas does basketball. You're a basketball guy. Al Michaels transitioned mostly into NFL and golf.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I have one more as well? Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by the Culture Club
Hell yeah.
on Aberdeen Street.
Yeah. No.
They don't know about it.
But the other thing that doesn't, I think that's gone, is like there's a very specific type of politically incorrect sensibility that South Park still does, but you don't really get in movies anymore.
Okay, that's actually an interesting one. So you're saying that comedies today, I assume you're talking about comedies, don't try to hit those political barriers.
No, it's not even political barriers, because like I mean they have a gag where like as they play different teams, right? It's like, oh, the New Jersey team, they're all like gangsters who mafia guys, and they go to the San Francisco and they're all like gay dudes, and they go to like Texas,
Miami, they're all like Latino guys.
They go to Texas and their chants like, oh yeah, on 3, 1, 2, 3, fuck the Mexicans. It's like, I don't think you can. One, it's like because movies have become so realistic and not gag-like, you can't do those gags anymore. And also most modern gag films, like like Movie 43 or whatever, they're trying to bring back Scary Movie. Those all end up being bad because like none of the good writers want to write for them anymore. But also like sensibility is different. Like can you do a comedy about a dying Make-A-Wish kid? Like they just won't do that anymore.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying about that. I feel like comedy has strayed away from that a little bit.
Yeah, I know this is side conversation.
No,
like,
that's what it's all about.
Right.
So
I was listening to another podcast. They were talking about the movie Kindergarten Cop.
Oh,
it's a great film.
Great film.
You can't make Kindergarten Cop today.
Why?
You mean it's a children's comedy about a school shooting? Where it opens with a guy getting murdered and chained to another woman, and then like there's a side plot about a kid getting abused by his dad, and the other students make fun of him. Never resolved, by the way. Like you can't really like the movie now would have like The Rock or like Vin Diesel, and it would be like super G-rated.
Yeah.
Like it's strange that like there's the action.
People were less like I'm not. This isn't like one of those manosphere podcasts or anything like that. Like I love.
No, I mean it's just it hasn't aged well.
Yeah, this is a left-leaning podcast. I will say that, but this is a woke libtard cuck podcast.
You say so.
But I do agree that like sometimes people. So I like writing scripts a lot, as you know, and stuff like that. And sometimes you'll send jokes in, and then you'll get worried.
Yeah.
But then people will sometimes push. So I actually sent a script into like this 90-year-old Jewish producer in San Francisco. His favorite films are like Mel Brooks films, who are also my favorite.
I thought you were about to say like Israeli bomb videos.
Well, so in this film, there's a big there's an IDF gag. There's quite a few, but there's one like really out there IDF gag. And we sent it to him, and I was like, "Fuck! Actually, I forgot about that gag. Maybe he's not gonna." He was the first person to invest in that film that we did. And when I was talking about it, he was like, hey, because he's like from that era of like, stuff. But then I also sent it to younger people who are more openly like, pro-Palestine and things like that. And they'll be like, ooh, that's a bit like shaky. And I'm like, why are you offended by it?
Okay, so one of my favorite Apatow films, only because it has probably the most realistic depiction of stand-up comedy in any film I've ever seen. Have you seen The Big Sick?
Yes.
So The Big Sick, Kumail Nanjiani, he's a stand-up comedian, and he's like always doing his bits.
Yeah.
And the most famous joke from that film is when Ray Romano, his like girlfriend's dad, his girlfriend's in the hospital, meeting him for the first time. He's like, "Oh, you're a stand-up comedian, huh?" It's like he clearly like doesn't have a lot of Muslim friends. He's like, "Oh, so you're a stand-up comedian?" And I was like, "Huh, yeah, yes." What'd you think of 9/11? And Kamal Nanjiani's like, I think it was bad because we lost 11 of our best guys. And like that joke would be just a pure joke in a movie like BASEketball.
Yeah.
But in a movie like The Big Sick, which came out in late 2010s, it's like, oh, it has to be a comedian who says it, and he doesn't want to say it because he knows it's politically incorrect.
Yeah.
So that you have to like couch that kind of joke.
So this is, it's interesting to see what you think about this, because like I agree with what you're saying, that we went through a phase of like very narrative-driven comedies, and then on top of that, like we started getting into dramedies a lot. Like a lot of the best critically TV series, comedy, the ones that win like Emmys for comedies and stuff like that, are all. They've become narrative. They're really like, they're drama heavy. They're not sitcoms.
Yeah, I mean it's weird. Like
I like Shrinking. Don't get me wrong.
Like why is The Bear nominated for comedy instead of drama? Just because it's like a
The Bear gets the most shit, but like most of these, like even like most of these ones are like quite like.
Whereas
heavy.
If you look at, so 30 Rock is back on Netflix. I mean that's a gag show. And they have so many throwaway lines that are like, and they're so obviously. BASEketball, they have a lot of throwaway lines that are great jokes, great laughs per minute, and a lot of them are silly and stupid, right? Like the line I just mentioned. 30 Rock is the most elevated form of that.
Yeah.
It's every throwaway line is also hilarious, but it's some of the smartest jokes I've ever heard.
And we lack that a little bit now. I think I don't know if you've seen the Reggie Dinkins show.
I've seen the premiere. I haven't continued.
I think you'll enjoy it. But anyway, other than that,
anything made by the Tina Fey, Robert Carl.
But he's scrap that for right now because it just came out. But even then, like, so most of the awards or critical acclaim is going to these dramedies, and even like sitcoms. Like Abbott Elementary is a very funny show. It's really good. It's a really good show. Even though there's a huge like sense like everything has to work out. Like we have to feel good
I think it was it's like a generational sensibility of like the Naked Gun stuff. That's very boomer, early Gen X.
Yeah.
And BASEketball, even leading up to some early Apatow stuff like Anchorman, is Gen X and tail end of Gen X. And I think the millennial sensibility is you want a little more heart to it. You want to get softer. Like you think about when comedy moved from like Friends and Seinfeld into like Parks and Rec is like heart.
Yeah.
And then you have the stuff you're talking about now. You know?
And I think actually a turning point, I'm just thinking of this now, would be the later seasons of The Office, the American one.
Yeah.
Especially if we're talking about American comedy.
Yeah, because they became like, let's have a lot more heart.
Yeah. We're so much family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, we actually really care about all these characters.
Yeah.
And then
I have a theory about that.
Yeah.
It's because, well, at least like in the U.S., it's very, because you can even see how the show Friends changed from like much more jokey to having much more heart, and it almost happened like pre and post 9/11.
Yeah.
It's like,
which they never acknowledged on the show.
Yes, which they never acknowledged the show.
It would have been weird if they did.
It is weird.
At the same time, it's weird that they didn't.
When was the finale of Friends? 2005?
Yeah,
2006? So like halfway through.
But then also Joey starts wearing FDNY stuff a lot.
It's true.
So it's kind of like, I saw this is another comedian's bit, but it's like, this is Katie Willard's bit, but she goes, she's like, is Joey so stupid that he just saw a lot more people wearing FDNY shirts? And he was like, well, I'm gonna get myself one too.
What's the name of what's that redhead actor comedian who loves the Knicks?
Who loves the Knicks?
Yeah.
Red-haired actor comedian.
Yeah. He was on Friends as the cop.
Oh, this fucking piece of shit, Michael Rappaport.
Michael Rappaport.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm trying to think like, when Phoebe starts dating a cop, was that before or after 9/11?
That was before, I think.
Was this like after 9/11? We gotta show cops.
I think that was before. No, because he ends up also shooting.
Well, she shoots a bird.
Yeah. Actually, they wanted that to be a black boy at first.
But then Michael Rappaport's like, this is acting, not real life.
Michael Rappaport had already done that on his way to the work. One of my favorite videos ever is Michael Rappaport. He does like these like rants on his phone about like Israel or like politics, stuff like that. And he's doing it, and someone just nails him with a snowball, and he goes, "Oh, what the fuck?" And you hear the guy go, "Shut the fuck up! No one wants to hear this from you." And he's like, "Oh, I'm really hurt." He's like whining, which just makes it so much better. He's a real piece of shit. But yeah, I think Friends also started getting a bit. Yeah. But everyone loved those characters. I feel like it was earned quite a lot.
Yeah.
Larry David never wanted to do that, I guess. Like.
No.
And he always hated it. You're not supposed to like those characters.
Yeah.
These are pieces of shit. But I do think.
I mean, which is why like talking about the evolution of comedy, it's why it's almost so stark that Always Sunny in Philadelphia still exists. They're like the millennial version of South Park, really.
Yeah.
They have adapted to the times, which is great.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that like, wow, only these guys can get away with it.
They push the envelope so much, and I also think that their huge amount of commercial success shows a demand for that type of comedy.
Of course.
But then the lack of critical success also shows that like, this is not what we're, as like, the people who give out awards or reviews or stuff that, we're not going to.
The running joke is also like, South Park was never nominated for...
Or Family Guy as well. These guys have never... I think Family Guy is one of those shows that still holds up really well. And I think it's doing quite well. Because
really?
I quite enjoy it. And I think what's really clever there is Seth MacFarlane completely stepping away.
Yeah.
And then letting
I did not know it still exists.
Oh, mate, check it out. New season of Family Guy really hold up.
I was about to say, because new season of Always Sunny was fantastic.
It's eggs and apples.
Yeah. Back to BASEketball though.
But before we go back to BASEketball, I was going to say, I do think there's a trend going back to these sort of like films now. Or there's so we just have the new Naked Gun. Jimmy Carr has a gag mystery coming out.
The Naked Gun was great.
Yeah. You've seen the Jimmy Carr film?
But I think the issue is the reason why you see it more often in TV is because I don't know if you've been paying attention, at least in film, the business model for comedies have died now. Because everyone's business model is based on making home runs, and you don't no one wants to make a movie that costs $20 million that makes $60 million. Like that's not the business model that works anymore. It has to be like, oh, it's like $100 million that makes $1 billion, which is why. So, for example, action comedies, right? Like, except for Jumanji, which is doing okay, but it's franchise based. Action comedies are now Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like that's what the comedy writers go there, or the best comedy writers are going into horror because they're like kind of has that kind of sensibility.
My theory on this is that horror was in a huge slump when I was growing up. Horror films meant nothing to me. But before that in the 80s, they were the biggest thing.
Sure.
And then it got sort of revitalized with Jordan Peele and stuff like that. And I think comedy is now at the fringe of that. So you have directors like Emma Spielman and stuff like that who are doing Bottoms and Shiver Baby. There's so many like fresh comedies coming out that I think it's on a comeback now.
Yeah, I wish that kind of even the Apatow style comedy is kind of dead.
Yeah.
Like because I watched what was the female version of Superbad?
Oh, Booksmart.
Booksmart.
Booksmart's
I love Smart. But it didn't make any money. A lot of people didn't watch it. It's great. Like a lot of the Melissa McCarthy movies, I thought were great, and those were good action comedies.
Yeah.
Tag, Spy.
Spy was fantastic.
Spy was fantastic. Yeah. But now, I feel like I really like Yargos. I know Yargos is very hit or miss for some people.
Yeah.
Some people are big fans, some people aren't. I recently watched Begonia.
Yeah.
Did you like Begonia?
I love Begonia.
Did you see the twist coming?
I was actually still thinking that she was fucking with him until she was trying to get out of it until she was on the spaceship.
Yeah, well, I know. I thought when she started running back to the office, I was like, oh, that is a teleportation machine.
No, at that point, I was like, no, she's just trying to. And I was like, wait, there's so many points for her to signal.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you rewatch it, when she sees the bodies, because in the first time you watch it, she's like, oh, this is a crazy person who murdered a bunch of people because he's crazy. And then you rewatch, she's like, oh no, she's pissed because those are her people that he murdered. And that's why she was like, how many of them do you think were aliens? But that, the Lobster, even weird.
The Favorite.
Weird funny. I love The Favorite. The Favorite actually has really well written jokes. There is, and I feel like The Favorite. So same thing. I think Yargos was he mentioned in The Favorite. Because, and I don't know if you've seen The Great. So The Great is the TV show version of The Favorite.
Yeah, I got very upset with The Great. Because
The Great's fantastic. But the thing is, the writers for The Great and The Favorite, they both mentioned like, we can go super politically incorrect because it's a period piece.
Because it's a period piece.
Like there's a joke that lives rent free in my head from The Favorite, which is like when the prince busts into the maid's room and the maid's like, "Sir, are you here to rape me or make love to me?" And he's like, "No, I'm a gentleman." So she's like, "Okay, rape it is." Like, fantastic joke. And you can only do that, like, I guess in a period piece. And by the way, if you guys ever watched The Great, that's like every episode.
You know what's done that really well is the new TED series.
I've heard about it. I haven't watched it.
It's on HBO here, but it takes place when he was growing up, so it's the 90s.
Yeah.
And because it's the 90s,
Yeah. I mean,
they're
that's
doing
what
a
I mean.
lot more like gags that are like,
Yeah.
but it still like follows a very like woke sort of thing. But it's like,
And that's kind of why I think the Robert Carlyle stuff, it's like so unique, but I wish it became more popular. Like, obviously Kimmy Schmidt had a big run.
yeah.
Not enough people watched it, but Girls 5 Eva is fantastic.
Girls 5 Ever is
Tina Fey, Robert Carlyle. It's about one of the girl bands in the 90s. Basically, like they're like one of the Spice Girls and all that. They're basically like a parody of S Club 7 and that kind of shit. And they're all in their 40s and 50s and nobodies. But because one of their songs gets re-viral on TikTok, they're like having a comeback. And their band was called Girls 5 Eva. And they get to do both. Because they are in their 40s and 50s and they live here now, they're just making fun of Gen Z, they're making fun of TikTok. But then every time it flashes back to them in the 90s, they go like, oh, super un-PC, they should not have been doing that.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting that you love. Yeah, no. I haven't seen Girls 5 Ever, I didn't do that. But to bring it back to BASEketball, let me check the time. Actually, I didn't do that. I was just checking the frame for a second. Time. Oh, which one? Well, I mean, we're hitting time bound. But I think it's interesting to love BASEketball because I felt it was this like moment of like, as we were saying, gags and like the narrative and stuff like that coming through like the boys' relationship, and that sort of reflects on your comedy.
Wow, way to turn it back. Nice.
Which is like quite like gaggy, but then also you keep the like narrative stories. So,
Yeah, I mean, like,
and I think these films that we watch at those certain ages are the ones that influence us, our comedic taste all the way for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. It was like Matt Stone, Trey Parker, and like Chris Rock and like David Letterman. It was like all happening when I was starting comedy. When I was growing up, and that kind of influenced me. It's also, I think, what they don't do as much now, and it's not just gag movies. Like, Anchorman is extremely quotable. Even though it might not be the funniest of movies, it's an extremely quotable movie. BASEketball, similarly, is an extremely quotable movie. Like, the amount of times I've heard people yell, like, "You think you're excited, feel my nipples?" Like, there are so many re-quotable lines in the movie, and I almost, like, I wouldn't say I have an intentional approach to comedy in that way, but, like, I have lines that are, like, I'm trying to make this, like, quotable or memorable. Like, I used to... I don't do this bit anymore, but like I've had people at like Clock and Flat. Yeah. They'd come up to me and they're like, "English menu, please." I'm like, "Yeah."
That's fucking
or like
cool,
they like
actually.
quote like individual lines, and I'm like, "Yeah."
That's fucking cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Like that's sort of like your punchline and stuff. So I can see the influence, and like I do find it interesting what, especially for comedians or comedy writers, what films they were watching when they were like, you know, between the ages of 11 and 14.
Yeah.
And what TV, because then it's just so like obvious. Like, and now like, you know, I go to the theatre in London and I'll see like, you know, 19-year-olds doing like stand-up, and you can see how like they were. It's very influenced by like things like Bo Burnham or things like that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, there are like certain comedy epidemics.
Yeah.
Of like, I remember, including myself, when I first started doing comedy, everyone tried to sound like Bill Burr and Louis C.K. And Patrice O'Neill.
Yeah,
that like, I'm gonna shoot off the cuff, but like go super blue. And a lot of people fail at it because they don't realize, including myself when I started, because they don't realize like they actually have a super master of their craft. It's super punchliney, and the edginess is not the point. The edginess is to take you to a place where they're making it funny enough so you can like overcome that edginess. Whereas the comedians who make the wrong mistakes is like they see that and like I'm just gonna be edgy.
Yeah.
So then they fail, and then there becomes like 2 years saying like a Bo Burnham style.
Yeah.
Like now it's obviously like a crowd worky style because unfortunately it's not about specials but what people are seeing on TikTok and Instagram.
Crowd worky stuff or like things like James Acaster.
Yeah. Well the interesting thing about that is I've noticed, especially in the US and the UK, comedy has become a lot more energetic.
Yeah.
And I think it's because you have guys like Acaster and Russell Howard and Daniel Sloss.
Yeah.
So you have like even like to an extent like Mulaney. You have these super like kind of tight and high energy guys, so that people are trying to latch
I think
onto
the nature of like stand-up and comedy in general, even like comedy films, is like that you will start doing something, it'll become, and then some other comedian will start parodying.
Yeah.
And once it gets over parodied, then you're like, this doesn't work anymore unless you're one of the goats of doing it.
Yeah.
You know? And if you're starting out, you can't be getting like, you know, the guy who's being parodied, like the comedian who comes on who's like, I'm super serious, I'm gonna spit some facts at you right now. You know, like I'm like, that's been so made fun of.
Yeah.
That like if you come on and you're taking yourself too seriously, then people will be like, oh, right. Like,
but I
what
find
you're gonna tell me about the world right now, brother? I'm 8 drinks deep and I had this cover charge of $10.
So I find that can happen. That comedy does that to non-comedy.
Yeah.
So what I mean is like you had a very specific type of very campy action movie.
Yeah.
So you look at like all the James Bond films up to Pierce Brosnan, and it's like a very campy sensibility of James Bond. And they even mentioned like once Austin Powers came out and made fun of all that, they're like, we can't make Bond like that anymore. Damn it, now Bond's got to be gritty and dark. And so they kind of, it's not just comedy that does that, but like anything even serious that then becomes like ultra parodyable, like it's gone.
Then you have to think, that's why I was like, I'm really hoping, but I don't think it'll happen. But like, Scary Movie, the new one coming out, has the opportunity to like really lampoon the A24 style of film. And like these horrors and stuff like that, which are good films, don't get me wrong, but like you can really have a go at them, like, you know, just like the cut to an exterior of a field for a while and stuff like that, and have like some of that. I think they might have missed it. I watched the trailer. I'm not. I could be jealous. I wish I was riding on that.
I was really hoping, because I think the last Scary Movie tried it, but there was like, you know, Scary Movie was missing for a while.
Yeah.
But like, I really wanted them to parody, because there was the age of like the late 2000s, early 2010s when it was extreme gore. So, you know, starting with the Saw movies, but you had like Hostel, you had like those kind of movies that was just like, oh, we're going to show extreme realistic gore. And now it's like, oh, can we parody that? And then now, I mean, I hope they make fun of A24, but I do like the A24 style of horror much more than the extreme gore version of horror. Because that was like, it's kind of like edgy comedy in a way, right? Like you're just...
It's time, it's too, in my opinion, it's had a good run. Time to be shot.
But at the same time, like, you have a lot of horror that I think is parodying itself. So, have you seen The Menu?
Yes.
Like, The Menu is both a horror movie and a parody of a horror movie at the same time.
Yeah, very much.
Which is very interesting. Like, not so much a horror movie to an extent, but like, if you think about Triangle of Sadness. Triangle of Sadness is like almost a serious like Castaway style drama, but a parody of that movie at the same time. So
those things work really well and people started putting them in, but I still think these films can get. I hope they get fucking grilled in this next Scary Movie, but made to be look very stupid. But I don't know if it's gonna happen or not.
The only reason I don't think that's gonna happen is because I just feel like those movies, and hopefully this changes. I mean, it's where the money is, but like, those movies are no longer where the best comedy writers gravitate towards. I think a lot of them want to move towards horror, or you know, they're like long form TV, or unfortunately like podcasts.
Succession, something like that.
Bringing it. I mean, but like if you look at Succession, right? If you look at industry. the writer's room is filled with comedians.
Yeah. I mean, Succession is Jesse Armstrong.
Yeah.
Right? So,
We started on like Peep Show, and a lot of those writers were Iannucci writers.
Yeah.
Who, you know,
He's also
you have the Iannucci coaching tree.
Yeah, coaching tree. It all comes from Popovich. But bringing it back to BASEketball, yeah, I can get why. Like, if I had watched this film like properly at the right age, it would have probably had a big effect. I watched it on Star when I was probably too young to really get it, and then watching it today, I felt very Roger, because I was looking up the film as well. Like, Roger Ebert had a go at the film.
Of course.
Which is why Roger Ebert gets fucking roasted in South Park.
Yeah. But I mean, well, the movie's like 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. But like, no gag movie ever gets a good rating.
I love gag movies. I can watch Airplane over and over again. Blazing Saddles is probably one of my Letterboxd top 4 sort of thing. But this one I felt like was lost. Because I felt like no one was at the helm of the film.
Right.
I felt like Zucker.
I mean, it's totally all over the place.
Yeah, I felt like the tone just kept switching.
But like, I think because of that, it's got a very specific rewatchability. Like rewatching it in its entirety recently, which I don't think I've done in a while. I'm like, oh, this is like a very disjointed movie. Parts are hilarious. But I've watched individual clips of certain scenes like thousands of times, and I think that's part of the rewatchability. Like it doesn't happen anymore because like nobody channel surfs. Yeah. Like I remember being in college, like, oh, BASEketball's on, like, oh, we're just gonna watch this scene before we switch on to whatever.
Or we have to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So there's definitely that.
Yeah, I think it was a little like lost to me. And I think I wanted to like it more. I really wanted to like it more, and I was watching it. I felt like a bit lost. I felt like there was like a second act drag, but also I think I was coming in with the wrong lens. If I was like, if I come home after a night out, and put this film on, I think I would have had a lot more fun than if I was like watching it almost academically for today. And I was like, but I do think there's so many funny gags in it. It's a very funny film.
Yeah.
I think
also a fantastic soundtrack. That soundtrack has held up so well. So everything they play by Real Big Fish, all the ska covers, fantastic.
My brother was walking in and out, he's working from home today, and he's walking in and out, and he was coming in and he was like, I didn't know this song.
Yeah. Oh no, that movie made the Real Big Fish ska cover of Take On Me like famous. Like I know so many people who
they had like Smash Mouth and all like bands. Like, they're really like doing it, they're doing their band. And then I did love the scene of like, it's a very classic gag, the radio, driving in the car and the radio singing exactly what he's doing. And that's the thing as well, like a lot of the gags felt like, oh, I've seen this because everyone's copied it from this film. Yeah. And I missed that boat a little bit.
There's like some gags that are so terrible. I mean, not even terrible. They were like, I remember laughing so hard at the time. Like they could not be replicated today. So like one of the plots in the film is that they get their own clothing line to make money, and the evil billionaire helps set it up for them. And the twist was, haha, it's using Indian child labor to make your clothes, and now I'm gonna bribe you.
India was not well represented.
I know. But the best part is like when he goes to like save the kids in the factory, he goes to the factory in Calcutta, and the kids are wearing hard hats in the shape of turbans. And I'm just like, and he's just like, like I'm just imagining like the props department, like we got to make a bunch of kids turban hard hats. It's fantastic.
That's the thing. Yeah, that is a really good film. I like. It's a really funny film.
Yeah.
I think it was like seminal for comedy. 100%. It's in the line of things that like did it. I do think that it was a bit lost in like filmmaking and stuff like that. And you can even see that like it would have related so much to certain audiences, but it was like a $20 million film and it made 7, so it would have been like lost with so many people because it was like hard to. And I think maybe like that's why we started leaning into narrative-based comedy.
But that's also one of the movies that just made way more money on VOD afterwards.
Yeah, 100%.
And I also, the other thing is like, I really enjoy the fact that there were a lot of athlete cameos of athletes who didn't take themselves too seriously. Yeah. And nowadays, like, too many athletes are way too polished, and they don't do that. Which is why
Yeah.
every now and then, like Roy Hibbert on Parks and Rec, you're like, oh, that's very funny. Like there are so many athletes doing very stupid things.
It's like getting
in this film.
Kareem to do. That's like Kareem's third Zucker film at that point.
Yeah. Kareem
But
Abdul-Jabbar plays like
he's one cameo, like 1 second. Yeah.
he's in a glass case because he's part of a billionaire's memorabilia collection. It's like, is that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Also, the fun thing about this film, checking it's like a bit dated, they're millionaires. They call them millionaires all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
But
That's funny. Yeah.
But for now, us now, it's like, oh, there must be millionaires. Showing capitalism gone mad. Back in the day, they were just millionaires.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kareem's there doing fun. That's that NASCAR driver is in there and doing having a fun time. I think athletes there are like too scared of being embarrassed, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit. Like, I think Anthony Edwards in like a comedy would be great. You know?
Well, actually, Anthony Edwards was great. Like, so in Hustle,
yeah.
I don't know how many basketball players would be like, especially young basketball players,
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'll play the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'll play the guy who threatens to fuck the other dude's wife. Like, great. And Anthony Edwards, like, I'm in.
I was
It's
going to
great.
do that anyway.
Like, that's why I mean, like, Trainwreck was fine. LeBron James in Trainwreck was
He's
great.
good. He's
very
good.
good.
He's very good.
I wish more people like I love Jason Tatum. I can't envision Jason Tatum doing any of those kind of cameos.
I love Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, I don't think
He's
has
Tim Duncan.
chops.
He's Tim Duncan. He's Tim Duncan. Which is weirdly like no, but I think they're just polished because of career image.
Yeah.
I think they do have like look at Tim Duncan, right? His entire career, he was like clean cut, boring guy. The moment he retires, he's like Rasta pothead making jokes on Richard Jefferson podcasts. Like I think a lot of these guys, it's just an image thing. It's not
Yeah.
that like would it be like 10 years from now Tatum retires and he's doing cameos in a comedy movie? We're like, what the fuck?
I hope so. I'd love to see that. Jason Tatum,
Yeah.
I have a film for you if you ever want to do it. We're currently to end now. This is how it ends.
That was fun.
You have to give it a rating out of 2 thumbs up.
Oh.
I do 2 thumbs as well. And you can do half a thumb if you
Sure.
like. We do it on 3. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Wait, did it? Did it? Ah, there. 1.5. 1.5.
1.5. I give it 1. I give it 1 for what it is, what it does, but I'm taking away 1 for all the
Seminal, man. Seminal.
poor execution that happened. But thanks, man, for coming to the pod. It's a good
All right.
time. Sorry for the sound delay.
See you guys. All good.
All right.